Hello, hello. I will discuss why I think the term conspiracy theory is a bit of a misnomer. Nowadays, conspiracy theory and even just the word conspiracy is thought of as something crazy, like some crazy baseless claim that has no real basis in reality, but that claim in itself has no basis in reality, and this is the crazy claim. But first, let's look at the meaning of the word conspiracy or to conspire, and also the theory. The word theory, because theory itself is more like it's something that you associate more with science, and I think it's more like with the hard sciences like physics and chemistry and stuff like that. Like here, theory is a plausible or scientifically acceptable general principle or body of principles offered to explain phenomena. Example, the wave theory of light. I suppose you could have and here is other explanations is even an abstract thought or a hypothesis assumed for the sake of argument or investigation. So pretty much anything that has to do with having an idea before investigating something can be a theory based on this. But I still think it's the first thing that people, when they hear theory, like people who aren't complete idiots and don't understand anything, they think it's it's a scientific theory, like hard science, the theory of gravity or bare gestation periods or fluid dynamics or something like that, opposed to theories on how societies form or what happened in ancient Rome on this or that period or something like that. I think it's different. And here anyway says it's a scientifically acceptable general principle or body of principles offered to explain phenomena, and phenomenon is just an observable fact or event, an object or aspect known through the senses rather than by thought or intuition. A temporal or spatio-temporal object of sensory experience as distinguished from a noumenon. But here is it's an object or aspect known through senses rather than by thought or intuition. So this sort of excludes, in some sense, historical events, what happened on 9/11, for example, because you can really know about it only by thought or intuition or by reading and watching videos, whereas you can test gravity or what they call gravity by yourself. You can take an object and drop it and notice it falls, and then you can postulate why this happens. But historical events are different in this self. But event can pretty much be anything. I think just something happening. But anyway, so at least to me it seems like there is this, let's say, it still slants, the word theory slants towards it being related to hard sciences and not these social sciences or history or stuff like that, or even politics. But then conspiracy itself, it has nothing to do with crazy, baseless, stupid, silly people who are just delusional. Here is the Merriam-Webster dictionary. To conspire is intransitive verb, to join in a secret agreement to do an unlawful or wrongful act, or an act which becomes unlawful as a result of the secret agreement. Accused of conspiring to overthrow the government, conspire to monopolize and restrict trade, And second explanation is to act in harmony toward a common end, like circumstances conspired to defeat his efforts, and the sun and the wind conspired to make splinters out of solid wood. So this is more like a poetic use, so this isn't really applicable, but whatever. And here is like plot, contrive, scheme. They are more or less synonymous with conspiring. So it is not crazy to believe that there are conspiracies in the world. And it's just, this was one dictionary. Let's check Oxford English Dictionary. Conspiracy, noun, a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. A conspiracy to destroy the government, or mass noun, the action of plotting on or conspiring. They were cleared of conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. And then dictionary.com, conspiracy, the act of conspiring, an evil, unlawful, treacherous, or surreptitious plan formulated in secret by two or more persons. Plot, or a combination of persons for a secret, unlawful, or evil purpose. In law, an agreement by two or more persons to commit a crime, fraud, or other wrongful acts. So, okay. So now we got to this part. Law, there is such a concept as criminal conspiracy. And this is like, in criminal law, a conspiracy is an agreement between two or more persons to commit a crime at some time in the future. So there is, like, I think the legislation of many countries has a concept called criminal conspiracy. And like if you conspire to commit a crime, it's like worse, I think, than like if you spontaneously commit such crime, like because it's like a premeditated effort, and like when there are many people conspiring together, it's even worse, I believe. I won't read all of this crap, but so where here does it say that conspiracies are crazy or something? And of course you could argue that conspiracy theory and conspiracy are two different things, and by itself conspiracy theory means something silly and crazy, but I just cannot see how, because neither the word conspiracy or theory are in any way like suggest anything crazy. And also I've heard many times just the word conspiracy be used as something, derogative or like crazy or silly, like, in the media and stuff. They just use like, even like, when some, like, for example, like the NSA spying, like, this is no conspiracy, the NSA is really spying on you, something like that. But no, it is a conspiracy. It has been a conspiracy. Like, okay, maybe nowadays it's not a conspiracy because we know about it, but like, 5 years ago when most people didn't know about it, it definitely was a conspiracy, because it was a secret agreement to do unlawful or wrongful acts. And well, yeah, it was like, you can debate whether it was lawful or not, but it was certainly wrongful or harmful. Anyway, so now we got the basics out of the way. So why I don't think that the term conspiracy theory is so accurate, because like it's not really a scientific issue. Like, let's say like the JFK assassination, it was a conspiracy. 9/11 was a conspiracy, and that's whether you think it was done by the US government, if it was an inside job, or was it whether it was by whether you think JFK assassination was a communist plot, or you think 9/11 was an inside job, or it was like done by Islamic terrorists. It was still a conspiracy. A group of people conspired in secret to do something unlawful and harmful. That is the definition of conspiracy. Get it through your thick skulls, please, people. So anyway, why this is different from the theories you use in physics is because this is more like, this has to do with criminality, like was criminology. There's some word, but I forget what it is. Like, the scientific study of crime and why people commit crimes and stuff like that. Criminology, that's it. So conspiracy is more related to criminology or politics, history, social sciences. This is like a conspiracy by definition is a social gathering of sorts, like a social thing. It needs two or more people to associate with each other to commit a conspiracy. This is how it works. So it should be like, I have a master's in social sciences, and well, we didn't spend much time talking about conspiracies, at least like not in the sense that, hey, these things happen, like get over it. And like most conspiracies are crimes in one sense or another. So in this sense, like, because if you juxtapose a conspiracy theory, let's say 9/11, like what really happened on 9/11, if you juxtapose it with like the theory of how the tides work, for example, it's like one is a physical phenomenon that you can hopefully just study and come up with explanations for it, whereas like 9/11 is already it's history. It's something that happened. Like, of course, we have lots of people, myself, who was alive when it happened, and watching it on TV and stuff, and some people experienced some of the attacks and survived, but it's not hard science, so it shouldn't really be called a theory. It's more like or conspiracy criminology theory or something like that. So because I guess the point I'm trying to make is that, like, when you study like waves or gravity or even like biology, those things are unconscious, like they are natural phenomena, whereas studying conspiracies or alleged conspiracies you are studying the actions of conscious actors who by definition try to hide their actions. So there's a difference. Like, you cannot apply the same standards to studying unconscious natural phenomena and studying the actions of people who want to hide those actions. So it's not fair, like, and that's why it's often very difficult to prove that a conspiracy has occurred, since the perpetrators or alleged perpetrators easily can have like you cannot prove it beyond reasonable doubt that they did it, so they have like they can always deny their culpability, and you cannot prove it 100% that it was true, whereas nature usually doesn't conspire against you, so that you cannot explain the phenomena. Like, failure to explain certain natural phenomena is not really because of nature. I think it's just the inability of human beings, like lacking in understanding. But conspiracies work different. Like, just some examples what conspiracies are and have been, like terrorism. Like, when there's a terrorist attack, whether it was 9/11 or recent attacks in Europe or like 2000 years ago in Middle East or whatever, like the Sikari Jewish extremists, those are all conspiracies. Whether you think they are inside jobs or not doesn't matter, they're still conspiracies. JFK assassination was a conspiracy. Like, unless you wanna like argue that Lee Harvey Oswald did it by himself and had no like help anywhere, no okay, you're free. Or like, you know, even generals in war, they conspire. Like, you know, there's the allies and axis, the generals and, you know, people in charge of the military, they conspire like to outmaneuver the opponent and like to, you know, ambush the enemy forces and decimate them without taking losses themselves. And that too is a conspiracy, because they plan their strategies and tactics in secret, and they want to harm the opponent. So, and a conspiracy can be a harmful act. And like just some example of, like, you know, groups in history like that have conspired, like, you know, conspiring usually is done to for personal benefit or the benefit of your organization or ideology or whatever. Like, and in history there have been, like, you know, noble families that try to gain the upper hand in society, or guilds or other industrial factions or rich merchants or religious organizations. Like, all of these, you know, people in these organizations could have been conspiring. Some of their success might be due to conspiring. And then there's, of course, like nowadays there are, you know, political parties and lobbies, intelligence agencies, like, you know, CIA, NSA, Mossad, whatever, and corporations, the mafia and secret societies. They conspire, like, you know, Antifa, they conspire when they, you know, we're gonna go to this event and then we're gonna cause havoc and, you know, ruin their event of free speech or whatever. That is too is a conspiracy. It's not the most masterful conspiracy, but of course then when you take a look at, you know, there's somebody like George Soros funding it, and then it becomes a bit bigger conspiracy and so on. But that's basically, I don't know, like, I hope if you didn't know it before, you should know now that conspiracy by definition has nothing to do with anything crazy or weird. Like, of course there are some claims of conspiracy that might sound, you know, crazy or weird. Like, you know, if you believe in the fact that conspiracies exist, it doesn't mean that you necessarily believe that, you know, the Illuminati is controlling the whole world, or there are reptilian shapeshifters on the moon, or anything like that, or that the earth is flat. And because, like, they try to sell you packages, like, you know, if you believe one thing, if you believe that 9/11 could have been an inside job, then you have to believe also that the Illuminati exists and stuff. And that's not how it is. Like, you have to look at each alleged conspiracy by itself and, you know, look at the facts and evidence to make sure if it makes sense or not. And that's not to say, like, I'm not trying to badmouth you know, concepts like Illuminati or even reptilian shapeshifters or flat earth. Like, you know, you can make up your own mind. I don't give a fuck what you think. I don't know what I think about them either. So, but it's just like this, like, people who say that, you know, you're crazy or stupid for believing in conspiracies, those people are either, well, idiots, or they are conspiring themselves to try to, you know, dissuade you from looking at truth, like, you know, historical events. Like, any conspiracy that has happened is a historical event that has happened in the past, and some conspiracies are still ongoing. But, like, yeah, so, and why would somebody want to prevent you from looking at historical events? It's either because they are just small-minded and they feel threatened by, you know, honest investigation into their, like, it's sort of related to the fanboy topic that I made my last video about, that they just feel uncomfortable when you challenge some of their worldview and viewpoints. and on the other, like there are people who have vested interests in preventing you from looking at certain topics in history, whether it's certain terrorist attacks or certain alleged massacres or holocausts and stuff like that.